Yo. Yo. Can you hear me all right? Can you hear me all right? Sounds good. Okay.
Nice.
Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome to... What are we going to call this? Let's call it... It's not late night. It's early day.
It's early afternoon, is it?
Early day has a better ring to it, you know? Let's call it early day with Wirl. All right, everybody. Welcome to Early Day with Wirl. Today we got a good friend of mine, Kiko.
Hello.
Kiko's here. We're going to talk about some really cool shit. If you don't know already, Kiko is part of our community, a dope skateboarder. Kiko runs, most importantly, what we're going to talk about today is Kiko runs a very special record pressing plant in North Philadelphia. That's right, North Philly. The name of the record pressing plant is Soft Wax Records. If you haven't checked it out, check that out. Welcome to the show, Kiko.
Hey, I think I want to try and put this back on right quick.
Yo, that's really not
It's
cool.
nice.
That's not cool.
You know, I thought so I was trying to fix it, and it's there now.
Well, let me just say this: how would you like it if someone ripped your arm?
I would not like that. No.
So, let's kick it off. Let's take a step back. We'll start real simple. Let's talk about vinyl. A lot of people love vinyl. I love vinyl. A lot of people at Dustbunny play vinyl. It's something that I got into a couple years ago, just because. Well, there's a lot of reasons for that, but I'm gonna hand it over to you. Let's just start from square one. Let us know what vinyl means to you.
Good question.
Is that too hard of a question to start off with?
No, not at all. I could just start off with how I was introduced to it, and it all started with my father. He was a radio DJ back in the DR in Dominican Republic when he was in college, going to the university. He was about like 17 or 18. So my father pretty much considered himself the fifth Beatle. And his show was the only show you could really listen to and get like full American music, especially the Beatles, Led Zeppelin, all the shit that was going on at the time.
So your dad was one of the only Dominican Republic DJs playing like American music
On Sundays.
Sundays.
Yeah. Like he was like everyone, like he had American music playing, but his was like just like 2 hours straight, just American music. He would even speak in Spanish and in English. People like even hit my father up years later, like many years later, and said, "Yo," like they would find him on Facebook and be like, "Yo, is this you like from back in the day?" And he'd be like, "Yeah." And it was like they'd be like, "Yo, I used to listen to your show all the time when I was like 9 years old. I would learn English from listening to your
Wow,
channel."
yo, a legend. You're the
Yo, my dad went pretty deep with that community. He even like as soon as he ended his radio show, and then honestly like 2 days later, or a day later, John Lennon was assassinated, and he didn't hear about it until 2 days after that, because news has traveled a little bit slower, and he was doing his university shit. So
Yep.
and they're just like, "Yo, did you hear what happened?" He's like, "No, I didn't." It's like, "Yo, John Lennon just died. Oh my God, you
Wow.
he's like, oh my God. Like, everyone called him up. It was like, yo, Camilo, you gotta have another show. You gotta have another episode. You gotta come back.
Oh, no way. Wow. So people were like, "Yo, we need the fucking."
Like all his homies were like fucking gassing him up for that shit, and
So people were like, "We need the fucking fifth Beatle back to celebrate this life that
for real.
passed."
And he went back and he started doing the show again, and though for him, he said it was a little bit different. He said like the fire wasn't really there. It wasn't the same.
Oh, like when he went back to do
When
the
he
kind
went
of
back
like
to doing it,
tribute
like,
show.
at first it was cool. It was hot. It was like because everybody was like really interested. He was really heartbroken by it, so it just had this whole different spin. And then after like 2 or 3 months of doing it, I suppose that's like when you just start like falling off. But,
So were you in the station sometimes, or did you listen mostly from home?
no, this is before he had any of us.
Oh.
Yeah, this is when he was like 17, 18, until he finished the university.
Word. And
yeah.
He was playing all vinyl at the station.
Uh-huh.
And then he had you.
Yeah, like what he would do is that he would get a backpack, pretty much like what we do now. It's like a tote bag filled with vinyl, jump on his bike and head over to the station. And like that would just
That's real. That's real. You hear that? All you kids out there with your little fucking thumb drives? We used to be out in the streets riding bikes full of vinyl. Yo, it's not that hard. It's like people act like it's impossible.
We ain't playing.
Yeah. No. Not playing at all. So how did your dad kind of pass that on to you, or how did it kind of like...
So growing up, it was always around. You know, one thing about vinyl, it takes up a lot of fucking space. So when we were moving around as a kid, that was always one thing that was always an issue when we were moving around, and I'd always noticed it. Like, that was something my dad would always pay attention to when we were moving, and I never really understood what it was until I got older. And we were always moving around. I'd always see his records. He would never really play them, just because he was always occupied with working. We were always like in a tight-ass house, so many of us.
And that was like after the radio show too, so this was just like hanging on.
This is in the 90s. He was doing the radio show when John Lennon died. It was like a year after that was when he completely finished and then moved over to the States.
Okay, so he was kind of just hanging on to these records as just like an important part of his history.
Yeah, he loved his records. And as soon as MP3s came out, he loved putting everything on MP3. When CDs came out, he put everything on CDs. You know, like growing up, like this is really funny because when you've seen Boyhood by Richard Linklater?
I'm ashamed to say I've never seen, what is it called? Boyhood.
Yo, it's there's this one. It's oh man, Ethan Hawke rules. So does Richard Linklater. But there's this one scene where Ethan Hawke gives his son a mix of a Beatles mix of all their best songs from their solo career, and he called it like the Black Album or some shit.
Okay.
And he put on this whole big MP3 CD and designed it and gave it to his son. My dad would do that to us when he like found out that he could burn a bunch of MP3s onto a CD, and when he learned how to make CD label makers, he would do that shit for us.
So you were getting some like real proper mixed, not mixtapes, but mixed CDs from like a true OG vinyl.
Well, they
DJ.
weren't mixes. They were just the whole anthology.
Oh,
everything.
Word. Just
everything on MP3. Like every fucking record, every single that came out, he would put it on one big CD, and then he'd get the label maker and put like a big ass green apple, get the photos of John, Ringo, George, John,
Jimmy,
and Paul.
Joe,
Joey, Joey, and there's Tommy, and
yo,
Barrett,
shut up.
And Barrett.
That's not funny.
but yeah, and you know that was really cool of my dad to do that.
So that was like your introduction to music in general, just like opening your scope to all this different kind of music.
For sure.
And then, so how did that come full circle back to vinyl, where it all started for your dad?
What do you mean?
So you got really into. I mean, it's not like you have a CD pressing plant. I'll say that much. No. You have a record pressing plant.
Right,
so,
right.
So CD, like these anthology CDs got you into all this different kind of music. How did you get into vinyl as a medium after that? Yeah.
Like into pressing it? Like how did I get into ideas?
Yeah, or just like some of your first experiences with vinyl in general.
So like when I first heard of Record Store Day, actually when I was like 14, 15, my homie Zach and everyone, like my brother Zach and like a lot of our other tight homies would just really be into records. They got me into records. I remember when Zach bought the Tender Button records from Broadcast, and there was a Blonde Redhead album too. I think it was 27, is it? 23? I forget. That shit was such a long fucking time ago. But those two records I remember was some of the first records that he bought when we were living together when I was like 16 or 17. And it got me into like collecting.
Cool.
And at the time I was like really into those like two-piece like surfer rock music. So I was really into
Oh,
waves and no waves
shit.
and all that shit. Like I remember the first record I bought, which I was playing the other day. It was the Waves record, their very first record,
Yeah, that's what's up.
and it was just yeah, that shit.
Waves were sick. Hella? You listen to Hella?
Hell yeah, that's Zach Hill.
Zach Hill, who played in Waves for a minute, didn't he?
He did this like EP, I think. Like Homeboy, like I think Nathan like hired him or some shit to do an EP with him or collaborate with him, and it was very short lived.
So the time period that you got into collecting vinyl was coincidentally also, it sounds like, when you started experiencing music that was more current as well.
Yeah.
Do you feel
absolutely.
like there was something that clicked with that? Like,
Yeah, because all my friends, well, my brother and his band, they were in a band, so their goal was to get their shit onto vinyl. So that was my exposure to people actually trying to get their stuff pressed.
Yeah, and I'm curious, like, can you tell us what that fascination had to do with, like, why? Because growing up for me too, a lot of bands, it was like the holy grail, the trophy was to get your shit on vinyl.
Yeah.
Like, what does that represent to you? Because I know for me, I'm coming more from a DJ perspective, where getting your stuff on vinyl for a DJ is like, it means that you can play your shit on turntables and other people can play your shit and you're going to hear your stuff at parties, which is really exciting. But it sounds like you were coming from this more of like punk, hardcore, indie band kind of stuff. And that's like more of maybe like a home listening context for vinyl.
It was the fact that it was like the ultimate merch for most of these bands to make money on the road.
Gotcha.
Because the shirts are dope. Everyone likes shirts. Everyone likes sweaters. But having a 7-inch or a 12-inch was like the ultimate merch because you could put in a dope insert, lyric sheets, poster, something dope to look at when you're listening to the record.
Yeah, because if you're at a show, you're like okay, what do you got? T-shirts? Nah. You got fucking posters? Whatever. Oh shit! But you got vinyl.
It's always fucking nice, especially when you're at the show. If they have it there, if you've never seen the band, you're just blown away by the show. The experience they gave you by playing live.
Yeah, and like listening back to that record
Yeah.
at home, it gives you more of like
Yeah, absolutely.
a memory than a T-shirt does, for example. Yeah, that's interesting. And then also it makes me think about how, in a lot of ways, vinyl is kind of like this. It's like the underground market or the underground currency for like a lot of touring artists in a certain way.
Yeah, this is nothing new though. It's just like people just forget about what good tools look like. It's like vinyl just disappeared for a little bit. The DJ community is definitely what kept it going, and of course, big companies like trying to get the Beatles repressed and all that shit was always they were going. But
shout out to DJs for keeping it alive,
keeping it hot.
Give it up for the DJs.
But definitely they definitely helped the industry keep going in the 90s for sure.
So let's talk about soft wax a little bit because, so soft wax, it's mostly geared towards like touring artists, traveling artists. It's not for like fucking Virgin record types. There's no like hit pop singles or anything. It's like it's for that like it's for people like me.
Yeah.
People like Ellen.
Yep.
Like like it's you're doing it locally, you're doing it affordably, and so it's crazy because suddenly even for people like me, I'm like, holy shit, I never even thought it was possible for me to put something out, but maybe I could actually like do this because of soft wax. Can you tell us a little bit about your kind of vision for the business and who it speaks to and who you're aiming to support?
Oh, we've always been wanting to just predominantly support independent artists, independent labels, because when vinyl truly came back in the early 2000s, major labels, they sort of monopolized on most of these plants, and a lot of these smaller artists they would get pushed out of the queue. They would have to wait like 9 months, 10 months. So we would just like a plant that would just offer them fair turnaround rates, so they don't have to be touring on material they wrote like a year and a half ago or 2 years ago. You know, like that's one thing I noticed. Like I started booking shows myself in like 2011 or 2012 after moving into my brother's house in 2010, where they would book shows, and I just like learned from them. I made all the connections I needed to by living in that house with them, and when I went and did my own shit, I would see that. I would see people touring on material they wrote a long time ago, and they weren't playing any of their new material that they already recorded and put out, or they wouldn't play much of it. And I'm like, why are you doing that? And they're like, oh, because we're trying to sell this record, and this record is...
Oh. wait a second. Woo!
They're just like,
sorry, I had to do it.
No, it's cool. But that was a reoccurring theme almost for every show that would be booked. Either they had their records really late, or their records weren't even there and they were on tour. And
so you're also thinking about like how soft wax fits into this, just the culture as a whole. Like you're not only trying to like help support people financially, but also you're like, yo, I want you to have fresh shit. Like I want you to have like your best, most current shit on the merch table at your shows, and even for DJs too. Like you should be playing like current shit from local artists.
Yeah, and like that's the whole plan, and it was going well, really well. And then things. Yeah, each month, as soon as we opened up, like each month, something terrible happened that would just sort of put like a wrench in the works. That's actually the second thing to happen. The first thing to happen was that fire out in Cali, you know?
Oh, right.
It's a shame they lost their entire facility.
So for people at home listening who don't know what happened, there was a manufacturing plant in California that manufactured, what was the material they made? Lacquer, and you need lacquer to
cut the record, to make the master. And there's only two places that facilitated that, and there was one in California and one in Japan. The one in California burnt down February 6th to the ground.
And that affected y'all at Soft Wax because you were like, shit, I need this lacquer to make records.
Well, yeah, like those weren't our suppliers, but the fact that now that they didn't have that supplier, now everyone had to go to the other supplier that was in Japan, which is the people that we use. It made situations a bit more difficult because there's all these companies that have been around for 30 to 40 years, and then you have us that have only been around for a month.
Yeah, it jammed up the supply line.
Yeah, because these people were just like, oh wow, we just took your order, but they'd be like Soft Wax, we just took your order. You guys are really small. We have these people over here that bring in like $150,000 a year, and they need us.
And you're like, yo, I'm the small
Exactly. But they've been cool. They've been able to work with us. It definitely slowed things down a lot.
Yeah, and then obviously Corona. And so how's that been affecting? I mean, obviously, it's just from talking to you or just shooting the shit. Like I know you've been going up to your plant a few times a week and doing small orders, but tell us how else Corona's affected Soft Wax and how you're adjusting to that and moving forward.
So, with all of our suppliers, there's a lot of them that have just shut down and started operating like week-to-week basis. So it just made the turnaround rate for a lot of the things that we needed. It increased. It was like instead of a 2-week turnaround rate, it turned out to be like a 4 to 6 week turnaround. And then our material that was getting shipped from the UK, like our PVC, it's being held right now because they're on a lockdown still. So we haven't received our color material. All we have is like some color and a lot of black, a lot of black PVC, which is dope. But we're waiting on a lot of orders that are expecting color.
You hear that, y'all? Don't be afraid to get your records pressed black. It's fucking still cool. Don't hold back.
Black is so hard. I love
cheaper
black.
Too. So you anybody trying to move material right now, it's slow,
Mm-hmm.
but that's like another struggle that you've had. And then, what other kinds of struggles have there been? It sounds like it's just been, I'm trying to paint a picture because I want to tie this into a bigger theme, but go for it.
Yeah. So since Corona hit, the music industry it affected the music industry pretty fucking bad. South by Southwest was canceled. All these events got canceled. Every event got canceled. One
All the
after
artists
another.
are at home.
And it just like snowballed.
Stay home.
Yeah. Then a lot of artists that pressed their records with us or were planning on going on tour, they canceled their tour. And so, therefore, some of our orders got canceled, and then orders just slowly labels started pulling out and just being like, "Well, I don't know if we should be investing in this right now," which I totally understand. So, like with that affecting the market and that affecting like everybody in the industry, I'm just like trying to find ways to help artists get their records out because now that nobody could go out, online sales are fucking high as hell.
And your record players at home still work, people.
Yeah, so it's just like I'm like, yo. There's people that want records, and there's people that want records from certain artists, and they would pay a certain amount of money for these records. So why don't we just try and find a way to collaborate with these artists to release certain things so they have a way of making money. Artists, like their audience has a way of getting something that they want to stay inside. And, even with all the money that's made, we get the whole service covered. The artist makes money. And, it's like a no upfront risk sort of thing, I suppose.
That makes a lot of sense. To put it in perspective for all you Dustbunny fans out there, imagine if we put out a Dustbunny record. I know y'all would want to have that, and you would have it forever. You would have it forever. That's cool as fuck. So you've had a lot of bumps along the road, and the one thing I want to tie this into is. I know you as someone who's like a stubborn motherfucker. Like nothing's gonna stop you from getting where you're trying to go. And I feel like we might be a little similar because Dustbunny was also a really fucking uphill battle, and it's really when there's like no infrastructure for this stuff, right? Like, records haven't been pressed in Philly since when?
The 80s.
The 80s. Yeah. So there's no infrastructure for this. There's nobody sitting around Philly being like, I can't wait till the record pressing plant opens. Like, this is just like you stepping in being like, no, this is how it should be. I'm bringing this back even if people don't realize that this is how it should be.
Oh, yeah.
And that's like the same thing for Dustbunny and warehouse culture. And it takes like a real stubbornness to pull that shit off, and you're doing it, and it's cool. I was going to ask, where do you get that stubbornness from?
My mother.
Oh,
my mother
wait for it.
Yeah, my mother is amazing. My mother is my best friend.
Hell yeah.
I love her very much. And she taught me how to be very assertive, and she's extremely aggressive and loving at the same time. But my father is the one that taught me how to be more gentle and understanding of people. So both of them, you get the yin and yang. So it was really awesome.
That's what's up. What's up.
But, oh man, I was going to say something I totally...
Should I ask another question?
Please, yeah. So
another part of Softwax is part of how you tell people about it and present it. You present it as a POC-owned business. Mm-hmm. And that's also something that's special because when you think about record pressing plants historically, there's oftentimes not really a face to the name. In my experience, like when you just see a little record label and you don't really know who it is, I feel like it's easy to assume that it's usually white men, which is probably the truth in most cases. So it's special that you're coming from a different background and you're bringing a different flavor into this. So I was curious if you could tell us a little bit about that perspective of the business and why that's important to you and what you want to bring from your backgrounds to record pressing.
Well, so the industry has pretty much been asleep since the 80s, right? Like there hasn't been much development in how this whole process is done. and the music industry has changed a lot from back in the day. You know, labels aren't doing the same thing that labels were doing for bands back in the day. People don't even need labels anymore, you know, and labels...
Bandcamp.
Exactly. And like back in the day, record labels would mainly only deal with distributors and labels.
Gotcha.
So now it's completely different.
For all you young kids out there didn't used to be MP3s or computers.
But it's let me see. It's hard to keep track. That was a really good question, though. With the whole music industry changing, I just feel like there's space for a different approach on how to get records pressed and how to reach out and how to have a relationship with artists and labels now. It's all different and it's all changing.
Yeah, there's
every single day.
It's almost like endless how much space there is because there's almost nobody doing it. So you're kind of writing the rules as you go. Mm-hmm. And what's cool about Softwax, I think, is you're writing the rules in a way that's very conscious, and you have diversity in mind and inclusiveness in mind. And I've seen you talk to people on the phone, and you know how to treat people like another human. I feel like that's like part of what you bring to it.
It's like, thank you. That's awesome. First of all, because
give it. Let's just give it up. Give it up for Kiko, killing it out here, killing it.
It's been hard. It's been hard. You know, like this whole industry is ran by a bunch of older people, and now there definitely are a lot more younger people, and it's rad. Still not many of color that are actually owning the business. It's like and. We have an investor, and she's amazing. We have an amazing investor, but you know, this isn't coming just from my money. Like it took us a long time, like 4 years, to try and find an investor, and wow, it was the gnarliest journey. Like so many times when we thought we were this close. Like the rug was pulled.
Yo, you're stubborn. You're stubborn.
Yeah, no, it's like I was like for so long, like telling myself that all right, this is what we got to do. This is what we got to do, and not knowing exactly how hard it was or how long it would take.
Yeah.
And we would find out later after we've gone further into the hole. We're like, oh wait, it's not going to take a year. It's going to take 2 years, or we didn't even know how long it would take. Just like, okay, well, it's just going to take this much longer. It's only going to take this much longer. We would keep on lying to ourselves and just being like, okay, we just need to do it this much more, and then we'll get it going.
I know that feeling.
We thought we were going to be open in 2015, or was it 2016 or 2017 was like the year that we thought we were going to be like actually open.
Yeah. So I mean, it's I feel like you can't really compare Dustbunny and Softwax because it's like a different scale and a different dimension, but. Definitely with Dustbunny, we're like, yeah, we'll throw parties a couple weeks after we sign the lease. And then it's like 3-4 months later, we're like, fuck. But it's just that like not giving up that I think is really cool. And it's like, oh shit, this is fucked.
Yeah,
we need to figure this the fuck out. But all right, fuck it, let's fucking do it.
Yeah, so not giving up and just like being, like you said, extremely stubborn. It's like
it's a good quality. And for all you young people at home, Kiko is proof that you can do it. You just got to really put in the elbow grease, and there's nothing stopping you. Nothing stopping you.
I mean, if you're just consistent, what you're trying to achieve, you will achieve, and that's what a lot of people don't realize. But a lot of people aren't fortunate enough to surround themselves with people, enough people to tell them that.
Yeah,
and that's a big fucking deal, you know. I had a really dope support system, although we had like no money. We were homeless at one point, living with my aunt. And, you know, it doesn't matter if you have money. Just like, if you just have the love, that shit will, you know, that's all you really need, honestly.
Yeah, you need people telling you that you can do it because you can.
Yeah, so people that try and do shit alone, that doesn't make any sense to me. They just don't get it.
Yeah, true. Well, that's awesome that you had a support system to do it and that it accumulated towards Softwax and you're manifesting that. It's all super cool. I definitely hope to put out a Dustbunny record at some point. It would be really cool. Can Can you tell us a little bit about the future of soft wax? I know you're taking it a little slow, step by step right now, but as things unfold, and
we had to sort of take a step back, actually, because this whole Corona thing. Our plant manager, who was seriously just maybe 2 weeks away from finally moving over to Philly and being with us, so we could be in full production. The coronavirus hit, and so we had to stay quarantined, and then orders stopped coming in, so we just had to get really tight. So we stopped paying ourselves for the time being, but everything else, we just want to make sure that we have enough money to keep running. So
Gotcha.
With all these relief for the businesses and all that shit going on, we're just hoping to, that will be enough for us to keep us going. And we have orders coming in, and it's looking good right now, but
hell yeah.
Little by little, and it's just me now, so
just you up there.
Mm-hmm. So
little old you, just up there on your skateboard pressing records.
It's like some days I just have to be like, okay, Tuesdays and Wednesdays is just production day. Monday I just do nothing but emails and follow-ups because that's after the weekend. So most of these people that don't work on the weekends, they'll get back to emails that I wrote either Thursday or Friday. So Monday is just a really busy day of me, just being on the computer and being on the phone.
Gotcha.
And then Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, usually just Tuesday and Wednesdays, those are the production days.
Well, one step backwards, two steps forward. Am I right? Am I right, people?
Yeah, it's like that though. That's how it is.
Word. Well, I really hope that it works out. It sounds like it's going to come around. I think it's really cool. And yeah, I've seen the plant. It's fucking amazing what y'all have done up there. The machines are beautiful.
Thank you.
It's I've seen some of the records you're putting out. The colors are beautiful. I think it also shows that you're coming from that show merch table background because you see it as art too. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the colors you choose and have available are really cool. Is there anything else that you wanted to share with people, or you plug your shit? You've got at the Instagram. Is it at Softwax Records?
Yeah, Softwax Records.
That's all right, check it out. Get on at Softwax Records, everybody, if you're out there.
I just got a TikTok too.
What is that? I don't even know what that is.
TikTok, it's like it is insane. It is insane. It's Instagram on crack, pretty much.
Oh.
So I just thought it'd be funny because a lot of young people are on that thing. It's a weird platform because growing up, you'd have MySpace and Facebook, and every time parents would get on there, you'd be like, gross, you're my dad's. Yeah. But this is the first platform. I wouldn't say the first, but definitely the platform where that crossover is right in your face and they're shoving it down your throat. You have weird old people and really annoying young people on the same platform, sometimes in the same video together.
That's great.
It's something. It's so much fun. That's
cool. We're definitely trying to battle.
It's terrible to watch, but
ageism is real, and we're trying to deconstruct that.
No, you're totally right. And it's really cool seeing all these families. You get to,
hell yeah,
see what it's like.
Yeah. Do you have any favorite records that you've put out so far, or that you've manufactured?
Yeah, we helped get we did the Evil Sword record. That was amazing.
Evil Sword! Shout out.
Super rad.
Kate and Ben, South Philly.
And then, I love them very much. They are pretty fucking amazing, actually. I owe the way that I think about certain things to those two, for sure.
Hell yeah.
They're awesome people. I'm also really excited that we got to press a CIA record because it was recorded, engineered, mixed, and all that shit in Philly. And it was also pressed in Philly. And since it was the first record to be pressed in Philly, one of the first records to be pressed in Philly, it was just really exciting to be a part of that.
Cool. Hell yeah.
Yeah, those are the dudes from Disco Biscuits or something like that. Some old band. But yeah, it was really rad. Creep Records put it out. So shout out to Eric. What's up?
What's up? All right. Soft Wax Records, Kiko, thanks for joining me Joining me on, what were we calling this again? Daytime with Wirl.
Was it daytime? No.
No, early day.
Late day. Early day.
Because usually it's late night with so-and-so. This is early day.
Early day with Wirl.
Early day with Wirl. So there's really only one last last thing that the people at home want to know, Kiko.
Yes.
And that's how good can you dance? Let's see those dance moves. Yeah, you can hit it.